Rupini Mataji, you have to make Prabhuji co-host.
All right. Sorry.
You have to make Prabhuji co-host, I think.
Oh yeah, let me see. Because I'm also. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
If you can make me the
a co-host. I did that.
I can share.
Yes. Are you co-host now, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Sorry, I was on another call.
Yeah,
I
no.
got another call on the other phone. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam, verse number 6, canto 3rd chapter, verse number 22. एतावानेव लोकेऽस्मिन् पुंसां धर्म परास्पृत भक्ति योगो भगवती तन्नाम गृह्णादिभिः. Synonyms: Etavan, this much, eva, indeed, lokasmin, in this material world, pumsam, of the living entities, dharma, the religious principles, para, transcendental, smita, recognized, bhakti yoga, or devotional service, bhagavati, to the supreme personality of Godhead, not to the demigods, tat, his, naam, of the holy name, grana, adivi, beginning with chanting. Translation: Devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in human society. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the previous verse, Dharmam Bhagavatam, real religious principles are Bhagavad Dharma. The principles described in Srimad Bhagavatam itself or in Bhagavad Gita, the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam. What are these principles? The Bhagavatam says, Dharma Projita Kaitavatra. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are no cheating religious systems. Everything in the Bhagavatam is directly connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavatam further says, Savai Pumsa Parodharmo Yato Bhakti Radok Saje. The supreme religion is that which teaches its followers how to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the reach of experimental knowledge. Such religious system begins with Tan Nama Grihana, chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pad Sevanam. After chanting the holy name of the Lord and dancing in ecstasy, one gradually sees the form of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, and the transcendental qualities of the Lord. This way, one fully understands the situation of the personality of Godhead. One can come to this understanding of the Lord, how he descends into the material world, how he takes his birth, uh, how he descends into material, how he takes his births, and what activities he performs. But one can know this only by executing devotional service. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam Vijnati, simply by devotional service, one can understand everything about the Supreme Lord. If one fortunately understands the Supreme Lord in this way, the result is Taktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mamiti Sarjuna. After giving up this material body, he no longer has to take birth in this material world. Instead, he returns home back to Godhead. This is the ultimate perfection. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8.5:15, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashasvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Alright. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjalashalaakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaur Vangai Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All right. So today is a very auspicious day. We have a couple of appearances and disappearances. So it's my pleasure and privilege to talk something about the holy name. And we are just continuing the discussion on the holy name. This is the third session. And I believe probably today may be the last one, although I'm not sure. But yes, so the purpose of selecting this particular verse is because in the purport, now we have discussed many other things in the last two classes, and today we'll be discussing about how chanting of the holy name leads to Nama Rupa Guna Leela. Nam ultimately leads to Rupa, Guna, and Leela. And Srila Prabhupada also here, he is saying the same thing. If you read this line again, after chanting the holy name of the Lord and dancing in ecstasy, one gradually sees the form of the Lord. So, what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning? Do you, after chanting the holy name, do you see Krishna directly? And then further, Prabhupada states, one gradually sees the form of Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, and transcendental qualities of the Lord. So, and then further, he says that this way one fully understands the situation of the supreme state of Godhead. One can come to this understanding how he descends into the material world, how he takes birth, and what activities he performs. But one can know this only by executing devotional service. And then Prabhupada says that only by devotional service one can see the Lord. So whoever, whoever can understand the Lord like this, the result is that they will go back to God. So basically, as Srila Prabhupada says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti takvadeham punarjanma neti mameti sarjuna. So Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti takvadeham punarjanma. So one who knows the Lord in tattva can actually go back to Godhead in this life after giving up this material body. This is what Prabhupada says. And that is the reason we have so many scriptures which is making us understand the importance of knowing about understanding the Lord. Of course, we cannot understand the Lord in complete detail. We can understand as much as we would like to understand the Lord, because the Lord will reveal us to reveal Himself to us as much as we would like the Lord would reveal to us. And because the Lord is infinite, so there is a limit also. We cannot go beyond a certain limit, because then we enter the realm of inconceivable transcendental realm, which is beyond our material mind, senses, intelligence. So we can definitely try to understand the Lord as much as possible. But Prabhupada says that this is only possible by execution of devotional service. So that one needs to remember. And one of the most important limbs of bhakti is Shravanam, as we have discussed this in so many sessions. That without Shravanam, we cannot even perform the other limbs of bhakti properly. This is what Prabhupada says in one of the purports of the Bhagavatam. And he also encourages us to understand Krishna in tattva, in truth. And how do we understand Krishna in truth? By the mercy and the blessings of the previous acharyas, by their teachings. So although there are people who write about Krishna, who talk about Krishna, and they realize Krishna in their own way, but we only hear from those who are authorized devotees in parampara, because they reveal the knowledge of the Lord, which is as per the scriptures. So scriptures is the only way by which the Lord can be known, and this is also reiterated again and again in the scriptures, as well as it's also mentioned by our acharyas, sadhu, guru, sadhu, shastra. So if you want to understand the Lord, of course, scriptures is the only way, because that's the direct vani of the Lord. And in that vani, it is mentioned how to perform devotional service. So both things go together. We at the same time hear about the tattva of the Lord, and that's how the Lord is revealed. Now we will discuss how what exactly Prabhupada means when he says that one when one starts chanting the name and one start dance in ecstasy, then the uh, the qualities and the pastimes of the Lord, they naturally reveal to us. So what does that mean? Because we don't see the form of the Lord when we chant the name, right? I mean, when we are chanting the holy name, first of all, our mind is distracted. We are not even actually thinking of the Lord in the mind. Our mind is thinking of so many other things. So generally, we experience that the first round and the last round is the best round for the devotees, for sadhakas, because the first round is like, okay, just the beginning. So we try to pay maximum attention. And the last round is excitement that, okay, we are about to finish our 16th round. So naturally, 16th and first round, they are like the best rounds that we can chant. But then in between, we are carried away by so many like distractions or material desires or like whatever it is. So that's mainly because of our lack of hearing about sufficiently about the glories of the Lord, as well as performing the devotional service properly. So it's a process, as Prabhupada said, and I have shared this earlier also, that Krishna consciousness is a process. And Prabhupada quotes Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and they both reinstate the same thing, that Krishna consciousness is a process. Like it's not a, it's not that okay, you chant the holy name and you see the Lord. It is not so easy actually. Although they say like that, but then we also know that then there are the offenses that accompany the holy name. So unless and until the offenses are cleared, you actually cannot experience Krishna. You will not be able to experience Krishna's presence, and you'll not be able to remember him. You'll not be able to focus on him. At the same time, you'll not be able to focus on the form of the Lord. So the process, so what is the process now? The process is, that's why we require the help of Guru and Sadhus. So Guru, and that is the reason why Prabhupada also stated many times, Yasadeva para bhakti yasadeva tatha guru tasyate kathiti artha prakashante mahatmana. Unless and until one has implicit faith in the Guru and the Lord simultaneously, purport of Vedas will not be revealed to such a person. So it is extremely important to have. So this is also the role of Guru. Now, because in the scriptures we have the holy name, we can always chant the holy name. we can chant the holy name, but then why we are not experiencing the Lord? Why, it is said that okay, just chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and we are not even happy probably while chanting the holy name or while executing the process of devotional service, is because the process itself is faulty. It is not, we are not executing in the right way. So that's why Prabhupada says that Guru is the one and the sadhus are the one, devotees are the one who will actually guide us, train us in this path. They provide knowledge, they will correct us, they will guide us, and they will tell us how do we perform devotional service, how do we actually understand Krishna's character and nature. Because there are, the thing is about, especially about Krishna, his character is a very doubtful character, especially for outsiders. And now, of course, devotees, they understand because we have heard. Ultimately, see, we are hearing, and that's how our faith is getting enhanced, right? Otherwise, we also had these doubts that why Krishna did, he had affairs with the girls, married girls, and why Krishna steals and why he performs diplomatic activities and all. In the Mahabharata also, there's so many things that Krishna did. He actually cheated. So why Krishna does all these things? We had no idea about these things. But then when we came to ISKCON, we started reading, started hearing from devotees. Then we started actually understanding what is Krishna's nature, why does he do all these activities, and what is the difference between Krishna and all the other avatars of the Lord, forms of the Lord. So that's how we begin to understand Krishna's character. And when we start understanding Krishna's, and that's the reason also we have the first 9 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada said many times, and our Acharya also state that if you'd like to really understand Krishna, then the first 9 cantos, they are the fundamental, the foundation, foundation of the entire spiritual truth. So once you get convinced of these principles, which are described in the first 9 cantos about who exactly is Krishna, where is the position of Krishna compared to the other all these Purusha avatars, because there is a lot of description about material world, the Purusha avatars, and then finally the different avatars of the Lord, then the different devotees of the Lord. So just to come to the level that okay, now we accept that the Supreme Lord is beyond our imagination, beyond our mind, intelligence, ego, and how whatever he does is beneficial. It benefits everyone. So and of course his body is transcendental and he performs transcendental pastimes and activities. So this, we should come to this conclusion when we start uh, this 10th canto. Or in any ways, Srila Prabhupada very tactfully, he has given his Bhaktivedanta purpose in such a way that even if a layman will start reading the 10th canto or the Krishna book, he will actually understand Krishna's personality and form also very easily, because Prabhupada has given the information of the first 2 cantos of the Bhagavatam everywhere in his books. First 2 cantos of the Bhagavatam are the lotus feet of the Lord. So we approach the Lord first by approaching his lotus feet, and then gradually go up and up, and then finally we see the face of the Lord. So this is the process, and the process is tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. We render service, we inquire submissively, humbly, in a humble spirit. Of course, we do not accept blindly everything. We inquire, and we should be convinced. We should serve, and we should be humble. Menially, we should approach the Guru, and then Upekshita Jnanam Jnana Tattva Darshina, and then they will impart knowledge to us. So by this knowledge, our Ajnanta will be destroyed, and we will come in the realm of real knowledge, the Tattva of the Lord. So that's how our doubts will be destroyed. Will gain faith, and these are the stages how Rupa Goswami is describing, right from Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha. So you come to the stage of Nishtha. After Bhajana Kriya, of course, Sadhu Sang comes first, and after that Bhajana Kriya. Because see, here also it's very important that Sadhu Sang is first. It is before Bhajan Kriya, because sadhus, they are the ones who will tell you what bhajan we are supposed to do in Kali Yuga, what process we have to follow. So that's the need of Guru and Sadhu. Otherwise, there is no need of Sadhu and Gurus also, because the holy name, if you chant purely, then it does not require anything. It does not depend on anything. It is totally independent, right? But that chanting has to be pure, and in order to chant purely, you must have the right required knowledge, the sambandhya. So that is provided by Guru and the sadhus. So this is the first step. Now, when Prabhupada talks about after chanting and dancing in ecstasy, one starts seeing the form of the Lord. So what does that mean? So I have explained to you in a brief way that generally, what does it mean when we are advanced in chanting the holy name, or we are approaching the holy name purely? It the symptom of that is how much focused we become in the form of the Lord, in the qualities of the Lord, and finally the pastimes of the Lord. So the more you get absorbed in the qualities and form of the Lord in the beginning, and then ultimately in the pastimes, and the more like if you are able to naturally remember the pastimes of the Lord throughout the day, then you can understand that yeah, you have advanced to a very good level of chanting, and at the same time, there is also like it is also possible that you are getting free of offenses to a great extent, because if there are offenses, there will be a lot of disturbances also, and these disturbances will not allow you to remember the Lord constantly. Or maybe one possibility is that if you are rendering very important services, practical services for the mission of the Lord, then that's a different thing. Then that's another thing to consider. But otherwise, if you are not rendering that important services in the mission, then the reason that you are not getting that taste is probably because of the offenses. I mean, this is the answer that has been given by all the acharyas. There is no other, answer to this. So, of course, offenses also does not mean that we start thinking and we start getting fearful of each and everything that we do in bhakti. Then we will start thinking that okay, why did I come into bhakti in the first place? Because I was happy outside in the material world, and I think the one most important reason we are in bhakti is because that we were frustrated in the material world, so we have come to uh, Krishna consciousness. But again, in Krishna consciousness, then we realize that okay, we are not getting taste, or we are also facing so much anxiety and pressure. So, what is the reason for this? The entire purpose that I came to bhakti is to escape from that, or to get some alternative happiness. But here I am again experiencing the same thing. So one may start feeling like that. So one has to be careful that one needs to follow the process properly. Now there may be devotees who are, and I think nature also plays a very important role, because every devotee has their own nature. They have been continuing from previous life, and they carry their nature. And that nature, sometimes some devotees they have critical nature uh, since a long time. They have been um, cultivated in that kind of environment where they become critical. Some devotees are very much in the mode of goodness. They don't judge anyone. They don't interfere, in anyone's life. They are peaceful. They're satisfied in one sense. So, of course, Lord knows all these things, He knows the background of all the devotees. So it's not that okay, whatever activities you perform in devotional service, you have to be fearful and you have to, with all caution and precautions, you have to perform all the time, thinking that okay, what will happen if I commit offense? That kind of guilt feeling is also not favorable for our bhakti. But yeah, of course, we have to be attentive and we have to be cautious about the most important offenses, and especially Vaishnava Aparadh, that we don't unnecessarily commit offenses against devotees, um, especially with the mood of envy or with mood of pride. So that we have to be careful. Otherwise, there can be mistakes that occur, while following the process, but that all these mistakes and the other offenses that are connected to the holy name will all go away simply by constant chanting of the holy name. This is the verdict of our acharyas also. So let us go to the teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and I would like to share something from the Harinam Chintamani Bhajan Pranali. It's very important information, which is again related to the same thing, how the Nam leads to the Rupa Guna Leela. And one thing we need to remember, that ideally, when you chant the holy name, you are supposed to see the Lord. So that's the state of purity, which is basically pure chanting. But we are the sadhakas, we are the state of, let's say we are at the state of Namakra, or maybe clearing stage, or close to Namabhas. So how does this happen at these stages? This is very important because this is relevant for us. Okay, so we'll go through some of the excerpts from Harinam Chintamani, and I think that will um, be very easy for you to understand. Okay, so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, first of all, okay, before that, I would like to say that Sanatan Goswami, in his Digdarshani commentary on Damodar Ashtakam, he says that um, so um, in the Damodar Ashtakam, ultimately Satyavradhan Muni takes shelter of the names of the Lord. O Damodar, O Vishnu, Ananta, right? So this is a verse number 6. So he starts glorifying the Lord's name. He takes shelter of the Lord's name. And Sanatan Goswami says that by the potency of prayer, feelings of spontaneous love arise, and one especially craves to have direct vision of the Lord. In this regard, when referring to topics about Sakshat Darshan or direct vision of the Lord, only Nam Sankirtan is the Param Sadhana, or the supreme method for this kind of attainment. So what he says is that when you advance in bhakti and when you are so eager to see the Lord, of course, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sampradaya is basically cultivating the mood of separation. That we are not seeing Krishna, and we are developing a desire to have to see the Lord directly, meet with Him, and this is very favorable for cultivation of sambhog with the Lord. So when we start having that kind of craving for sakshat darshan of the Lord, then the most important limb of bhakti that will come to our rescue is Nam Sankirtan. This is what Sanatan Goswami is trying to convey, and this is the glory of Nam Sankirtan. So this we should remember. All right, so let's go to Harinam Chintamani. Okay, so what Bhaktivinoda Thakur states is that with faith that the name and Krishna are non-different, and avoiding the 10 offenses, the effects of the name will be perceived. By clear chanting and remembering of the name, one will find attraction and joy in the name. Then one will either meditate on a form of Krishna or constantly take darshan of his murti along with one's chanting, delving deeper and deeper into the name. So, do you understand this? When Prabhupada says that when after chanting the name and dancing in ecstasy, one will start seeing the form of the Lord. So, what does that mean? That means you, when you try to chant attentively, then you start meditating on the form of the Lord. So, basically, and in the context of this, I would like to add that Srila Prabhupada also, when he was asked by devotees, so in one place, Srila Prabhupada says that one should not try to artificially meditate while chanting the holy name. One should only hear the sound vibration of the holy name. On the other hand, Prabhupada in another context, he says that when he's asked by disciples that are we supposed to meditate on the Lord? Are we supposed to remember the Lord? And Prabhupada says, yes, of course, it is natural. I mean, that is the goal of chanting. I mean, so let's say if you are chanting the holy name, but you don't remember the Lord, then does it makes any sense? It does not make any sense, right? Because ultimately, whatever activities you are doing, that has to be accompanied by smaranam. And the best form of smaranam in Kali Yuga, the best form of smaranam that can be attained in Kali Yuga, is the means through which it can be attained is not smaranam itself, but it is chanting the holy name. So that's how chanting kirtan is actually the king of all the limbs of bhakti. It also includes all other limbs of bhakti as well, the other 8 limbs of bhakti. But by doing kirtan of the Lord, so Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, naturally Smaranam will be there. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrit, Sanatana Goswami establishes this point once again that when we chant the name of the Lord, it is very easy to remember the Lord rather than just uh, without chanting and just going and isolating yourself and meditating on the Lord. So that does not work in Kali Yuga because it requires a lot of qualification, a lot of focus and concentration. In Kali Yuga, we are disturbed. So that is attained very easily by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the same thing, that once you are attentively chanting the holy name, clear in your pronunciation, and you are able to hear, then either you are able to meditate on the Lord. Now, this meditation on the Lord, it can only happen when you have good amount of Shravanam in your daily schedule. Otherwise, it will not happen. It's very difficult. Or the other alternative that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying is that meditate on form of Krishna or constantly take darshan of his murti along with one chanting. So the idea is that I think the recording stopped by mistake. Okay. Yeah. So by any means, one needs to focus on the form of the Lord, and so there are two ways. Either one can naturally remember the form of the Lord, or one can chant in front of the deities. So that will help you fix remembering, meditating on the form of the Lord. That's the first step. So this is the meaning of when Prabhupada says that okay, after chanting one, one starts seeing the form of the Lord.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you repeat your last two sentences, please? Thank you.
Okay, what I'm saying is that when Prabhupada says after chanting and dancing, one will see the form of the Lord. So this is the method by which you see the form of the Lord. This is what it means. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining this point. How do you see the form of the Lord when you are at the stage of sadhaka?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay. So when one has succeeded in realizing the form of the Lord in the name, one will then meditate on Krishna's qualities while chanting. Okay, so after Nam comes Rupa. So once we are quite attentive and stable in our meditation of the Lord, form of the Lord, then the next thing is one will start meditating on the qualities of the Lord. And then one will meditate on a pastime of Krishna's with the aid of a specific mantra. So what exactly with the aid of specific mantra means, that also I will show you. But this is the sequence in which once you start getting absorbed in the sound vibration, in the meditation of the form, and in the qualities of the Lord, then the pastimes will naturally occur to you. And then he says that when all 4 elements become one will begin to perceive rasa in the name. Now, generally, our acharyas, they say that the name, the naam, the rupa manifests. I mean, the devotees who are at the stage of nishtha, steadiness, they are the ones who are able to focus on the form of the Lord. So if you are successful meditating on the form of the Lord, if it happens naturally, that is a good indication that you are at the stage of Nishtha. Of course, it has to be steady. That focus has to be steady. It has to be for a longer period of times. Not that, okay, for one round you are steady and then for next 10 rounds you are looking here and there thinking about so many things. It has to be steady. It has to be consistent. So then we can understand that we are at the stage of Nishtha. So that the state of Nishtha reveals the form of the Lord. Basically, it means that one is able to spontaneously remember the form of the Lord. Then the state of Ruchi, one will actually start appreciating the Lord, which means that they will start thinking about the qualities of the Lord naturally. And then at the stage of Asakti, one will start delving into the pastimes of the Lord. So that will become very spontaneous and it will be a continuous process. So now do you understand what does it mean Nam Rupa Guna Leela and at what stage it actually manifests? So basically we are struggling at the stage of Bhajan Kriya Anartha Nivritti. And hopefully someday when we come to the stage of Nishtha, then actually we'll start meditating on the form of the Lord. And it is, I think it is also if you would like to attain this stage, then it's very important to have, just like you're chanting every day as a vow, if you also hear and read books, that will also help your chanting a lot. That's the best form of assistance to the holy name, by having very good shravanam, which means that you daily read about Krishna's pastimes or this tattva and all, so it is very, very important. That will help you a lot. Because I don't think I'm not sure if devotees are able to go to the temple every day and chant in front of the deities. Of course, you have your home deities. You can chant in front of your deities also. But the only problem is that, see, deities, your personal deities, they are installed in your home, and home environment and the standard of worship is not comparatively pure enough as that which is there in the temple. You can experience it yourself also. That's why Prabhupada also says that Grihastha devotees who are living far from the temple, they should have deities in their house. But those who are living very close to temple, they should not have deities in the house, because their deities are the deities of the temple. So the center of attraction, the center of worship is the deity in the temple. Because in the temple, the standard of worship is very high. The purity level, of course, you must be knowing that when you go to worship the deities, you require Brahminical qualifications. Not just that, but then there are so many rules and regulations you have to follow when you worship the deities for Mangalarti or offering Bhoga, or so many rules and regulations are there, and that is very strictly observed in the temple. But it's not there in the house, because in house it's our personal deities, it's a personal relation, personal connection with the Lord, and we set our own standard. And of course, in the temple, the most important element is there is the association of devotees. There are so many thousands of devotees who come to the temple, right? So we associate with them and we together perform devotional service, which is not possible in the house. So, if possible, if you have that chance, then uh, the best thing is that you go to the temple, chant in front of the deities. That will help you a lot. But if practically that does not work out, then only savior is reading and hearing of all the books of the acharyas very regularly, very consistently. Now, another important point I would like to mention is that not just hearing lectures. Okay, we hear lectures of our Guru Maharaj, of other devotees also, but these are very general in nature. These are not specifically oriented. It's not a series of scriptures that we are, because there's a lot of siddhant involved, there's a lot of concepts involved that we can only understand and attain when we read the books of the acharyas. The systematic, for example, our acharyas, they have given so many books on philosophy, so many books on explaining the tattva of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord. So when we read all these things, because um, we do not regularly narrate the pastimes of Krishna, depending on we are following the Bhagavatam verse in the temple whenever there's a class, and then we just share on that. We just but in order to go or to be very specific and to help our meditation of the holy name, we require to have a focus in the different types of hearing and reading. So there are different types of hearing also. And Shivram Maharaj has very nicely described all this in this book. There are different qualifications required to hear and read, and there are different types of hearing and reading also. So one has to become focused on these things as we progress in bhakti. I think this will all come naturally to us. What type, what should we read, what should we hear regularly? This all these questions will come naturally, and then finally we'll go ahead step by step. Okay. So when all four elements become one, then one will experience rasa in the name. Of course, now as I shared with you that at the stage of asakti, you'll be able to meditate on the pastimes of the Lord. So the rasa obviously at the stage of bhav, because the sthai bhav then leads to the rasa. Sthai one, when it is mixed with the different mellows, then it begins to create rasa. So one will perfect the rasa by meditating on the eightfold pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So gaining one's spiritual body by the mercy of Guru, one will enter into the pastimes with the associates of Radharani. And according to the direction of Sakhis, one will serve Radha and Krishna in ecstasy. Of course, this is the stage of perfection, where you also attain your own spiritual body, which is that of a Sakha Sakhi in the spiritual world, whether you'll be assisting Radharani or, and before that, you'll also know that you are attracted to one of the inhabitants of Vraj, one of the Nitya Siddhas who are serving the Lord. If you are aspiring to be a Brajvasi and you do not want to attain Mathura and Dwarka, but you only want to attain Braj, then it is absolutely necessary that one has to follow in the footsteps of the Nitya Siddhas, the Ragatmika devotees of the Lord. Okay. Without that, it's not possible to enter Braj. So one will realize not just one Swarup, but whom one is supposed to meditate on. Because you would like to attain similar taste and qualities of particular associate of the Lord in Vrindavan. For example, since Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a Manjari, his name is Kamal Manjari in the spiritual world. So he's talking about assisting Radharani and the gopis. So basically, he is serving his guru, and somehow they are all connected to the parampara of coming from Lalita and ultimately going to Radharani. So that's how the parampara is. One follows in the footstep of a particular Brajvasi whose mood we would like to develop. So similar mood we like to develop. So it does not mean that we become like them. We are not Mayavadis, so we don't become like them, but we have similar sentiments. The way they serve Radharani or Krishna or Balram in the spiritual world, that is what we attain in the spiritual world. So this service in conjugal mood is the most brilliant thing in the spiritual world and is obtainable by the jiva by the practice of bhakti. There are even higher stages than this, but it is not possible to describe them by mere words. These things will be revealed by the mercy of Krishna. So now, further, Bhaktivinoda Thakur states, those who have an attraction for deity worship will reach perfection only by also engaging in hearing and chanting the name. But those who have exclusive attraction for the name need only engage in hearing, chanting, and remembering the name. If one executes these three processes nicely, all other 9 processes of bhakti, serving the lotus feet, praying, servitude, complete surrender, can also be easily accomplished. So again and again, our acharyas, they are always giving a lot of emphasis, not just on chanting the holy name, but on Shravanam as well as Smaranam. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, these are the most essential limbs of bhakti. Okay, and as Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that if one is inclined to deity worship, then it has to be assisted with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. But if you are only focused on Kirtanam, then only Shravanam and Smaranam is sufficient. So this is from Harinam Chintamani, chapter 15, Bhajan Pranali. Okay, all right. So with this, we can, I've covered Harinam Chintamani. Now we'll go through one of the purports from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is also very important. I don't remember if I've covered this, or maybe I have. Let's do it once again. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 8.31. 8th chapter Adi Lila, 31st verse. So I will share it on the screen also. All right. चैतन्य नित्यानंद नाही ये सब विचार नाम लयते प्रेम देना वाहे अष्टधार. Chaitanya Nityananda, when chanting the holy names of Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, nahi, there are not ye sab, all these which are considerations. Naam, the holy name, like they simply by chanting. Prema, love of Godhead. Dena, they give. Vahe, there is a flow. Ashtudhar, tears in the eyes. Translation. But if one only chants with some slight faith the holy names of Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, very quickly is cleansed of all offenses. Thus, as soon as he chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he feels the ecstasy of love for God. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks in this connection that if one takes shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and once again, okay. Yeah, if one takes shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, follows their instructions to become more tolerant than the tree and humbler than the grass, and in this way chants the holy name of the Lord, very soon he achieves the platform of transcendental loving service to the Lord. And tears appear in his eyes. There are offenses to be considered in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but there are no such considerations in chanting the names of God Nityananda. Therefore, if one chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but his life is still full of simple activities, it will be very difficult for him to achieve the platform of loving service to the Lord. But if, in spite of being an offender, one chants the holy names of Lord Nityananda, he is very quickly freed from the reaction to his offenses. Therefore, one should first approach Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda or worship Guru Gauranga and then come to the stage of worshipping Radha Krishna. In our Krishna consciousness movement, our students are advised to worship Guru Gauranga first, and then when they are somewhat advanced, the Radha Krishna deity is installed and they are engaged in the worship of the Lord. One should take shelter of God Nityananda in order to reach ultimately Radha Krishna. Sri Narottam Das Thakur sings in this connection. Gauranga balita habe pulaka sharire Hari Hari balite dayane banaira Araka benitai chandira karuna aibe Samsara vasana mura kabe tuchave Vishaya chadiya kabe sudave mana Kabe hama hirabe Shri Vrindavana. In the beginning, one should very regularly chant Sri Gaurasundar's holy name and then chant the holy name of Lord Nityananda. Thus, one's heart will be cleansed of impure desires for material enjoyment. Then one can approach Vrindavan Dham to worship Lord Krishna. Unless one is favored by Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, there is no need to go to Vrindavan. Very important purport statement by Prabhupada. One can approach then unless one is favored by Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, there is no need to go to Vrindavan. For unless one's mind is purified, he cannot see Vrindavan, even if he goes there. Actually, going to Vrindavan involves taking shelter of the 6 Goswamis by reading the Bhakti Samrit Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhav, Lalit Madhav, and the other books that they have given. In this way, one can understand the transcendental loving affairs between Radha and Krishna. So, see, very important statement by Prabhupada. And what he's basically saying is that what are you going to do if you go to Vrindavan? You will not gain anything. But instead of that, if you would like to go to Vrindavan, if you would like to understand what is Vrindavan, read the books of the Acharyas. There is no need to go to Vrindavan for unless one's mind is purified, he cannot see Vrindavan. So you will not be able to see Vrindavan even if you go there. Actually, going to Vrindavan means taking shelter of the six Goswamis by reading their books. This is what Prabhupada says very clearly, and it makes complete sense. That's why I said that again and again. I say that Shravanam is the most important to understand anything. In this way, one can understand transcendental living affairs of Radha and Krishna. Kabe ham bhujabe se yugala priti. The conjugal love between Radha and Krishna is not ordinary human affair. It is fully transcendental. In order to understand Radha and Krishna, worship them and engage in their loving service. One must be guided by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and six Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya's direct disciples. For an ordinary man, worship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, or the Panchtattva is easier than worship of Radha and Krishna. Unless one is very fortunate, he should not be induced to worship Radha Krishna directly. A neophyte student who is not sufficiently educated or enlightened should not indulge in the worship of Radha and Krishna or chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Even if he does so, he cannot get the desired result. One should therefore chant the names of Nitai Gaur and worship them without false prestige. Since everyone within this material world is more or less influenced by sinful activities, in the beginning it is essential that one takes to the worship of Guru Gauranga and asks their favor. For thus, despite all his disqualifications, one will very soon become qualified to worship the Radha Krishna Vigraha. It should be noted in this connection that holy names of Lord Krishna and Gaur Sundar are both identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should not consider one name to be more potent than the other. Considering the position of the people of this age, however, the chanting of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name is more essential than chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most magnanimous incarnation and his mercy is easily achieved. Therefore, one must first take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. By serving Gaur Nityananda, one is freed from the entanglements of material existence and thus becomes qualified to worship Radha Krishna deity. Very powerful and very serious purport by Srila Prabhupada. So what he's basically describing is a process, and he's quoting Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. And Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur is saying that if you'd like to chant the holy name, then it has to be Trina Api Sunichena, in that spirit, in that mood. Then you can take shelter of the holy name properly. And further on, then he says that if you would like to attain perfection in chanting the holy name, especially in Kali Yuga, because we are disqualified, that's why first we must take shelter of the Panch Tattva. So see, again and again, our acharyas, they like what you heard from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how you chant the holy name, the sequence it follows. And Srila Prabhupada stating the importance of Shravanam, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur stating the importance of Trinanapi Sunichena. And then finally, also taking shelter of Gaur Nitai in Kali Yuga. So although it is Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam, we can say that it is Gaur Nitai, Gaur Nitai, Gaur Nitai Eva Kevalam. Kalau Nasti Va Nasti, right? So without the mercy of Gaur Nitai, Panch Tattva, it is not possible to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and get the desired effect. This is what Prabhupada also states in the purport, right? So you can now understand all these things when we actually go through the teachings of our acharyas. Why we are not getting the desired result? Because it's a process, and probably we are not following the process properly. Because what to speak of being committed and dedicated to the path of Krishna consciousness, not just that, but the mentality in which, the mood in which we are taking shelter, that also needs to be corrected. So how many of us have really achieved the stage of Trinarapi Sulichana? That it seems it's going to be like lifetimes for us to come to that stage. So we can then imagine whether we will be able to chant purely or not in this life. So we are totally dependent on the mercy of our Guru Parampara. Um, right? Yeah. So all these principles are very important in order to take shelter of the holy name. There are a lot of things involved. It's not just so easy. The scriptures, they glorify uh, the holy name. Our acharyas, sadhus, everyone glorifies the holy name. But that is assuming that we take shelter of the holy name in the proper spirit. We are chanting purely, or at least at the stage of Namavas. Then we get the desired result. Okay. So now I would like to also share uh, what Srila Jeev Goswami explained, that how chanting reveals the pastimes. Ultimately, it leads to the pastime of the Lord. Okay, how it happens, and so he is relating the each and every word of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to a particular pastime that he has realized or it has been revealed to him. So I would like to share that. So this is the way you'll understand what exactly means when we advance in chanting the holy name. All right, so the Mahamantra and the progressive part. So what I will do is I will skip the Sanskrit and will only go to the translation. Although it is there on the screen, but we'll, in order to save time, we'll just go to the translation. So he says that the Mahamantra consists of 16 names joined in 8 pairs. The Supreme Lord explained these 8 pairs of names to the 8 verses of his Sikshashtakam. Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually this is not the one. This is actually given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He is comparing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to the 8 verses of Sikshashtakam. So we'll cover this first, and then I will take you to Jeev Goswami's commentary. So the okay, the first pair, Hare Krishna, means the destruction of ignorance and the chanting of Krishna's holy names with faith. So we know that Sikshashtakam is consisting of 8 verses, and these 8 verses are they actually are compared to the stages of bhakti, the 9 stages of bhakti. Sadhu Shraddha Sadhu Sang Bhajana Kriya Nartya Nivriti Nishtha Ruchi Asakti Bhav Prem. Somehow it has been condensed in 8 stages because of Sikshashtakam. So assuming that the faith is already there. Okay, the second pair, Hare Krishna, means that Krishna's name is invested with all potencies. Here one becomes attached to bhajan by taking shelter of the holy names in the association of saintly devotees. By advancing along this progressive path of bhajan, one's contamination are removed and one begins to chant in fixed determination. So one reaches the state of nishtha. So not just Sikshashtakam, but the Hare Krishna Mahamantra also represents the stages of bhakti. And the third pair, with the third pair, one adopts the character of a pure devotee and chants Krishna Krishna day and night with steadfastness. With the fourth pair, causeless devotion is awakened, and one chants the name Hare Hare with relish. With the fifth pair, as one's taste, ruchi, for chanting increases, one attains an attitude of pure servitude. And as one chants Hare Rama, one should take up the practice of Smaranam. With the sixth pair, as one chants Hare Rama, one experiences the beginnings of divine ecstasy. One loses all taste for material life and offers one's taste to Krishna, basically at the state of Bhava. With the seventh pair, one takes shelter of Radha's lotus feet with attachment for the sentiment of divine romance. Here one chants Ram Ram in mood of separation. With the eighth pair, one is fixed in the identity of a gopi in Vrindavan, attaining the ultimate goal of service to the divine couple, Radha and Krishna. Okay, so right from Shraddha to Prema, all these stages are there in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and the Siksha Ashtakam is also there in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So, so this is just a you can say fictitious kind of revelation that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is comparing, and he's giving the analogy of the stages of bhakti and equating with the 8 pairs of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay. Indicating that this is the sequence in which one will progress. Of course, so like once you attain the stage of prema, it does not mean that you only chant Hare Hare at the end. Okay, you also chant the entire you chant the entire Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. At each and every stage of bhakti, you always chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the entire Maha Mantra. But this is like he's just giving some kind of revelation and comparison of the 8 pairs. That, and he's also revealing why the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is consisting of 16 words. One can also question this, right? That why we need to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra consisting of 16 words. Why it cannot be 8 words like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare? Then why we need to chant Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare? So this is I think this is something which is a bit confidential in our Gaudiya Sampradaya. And the acharyas, they are giving the reason why it is like this. It is consisting of 8 pairs, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur also states that ultimately, because if you remember, in the Harinam Chintamani, he just read some excerpts from the Harinam Chintamani, and there Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also stated that after being fixed in one's meditation on the pastimes, then one will enter into the eightfold daily pastimes of the Lord. One will start remembering that. Right? So now, in the spiritual world, Krishna has got 8 time frames. 8 time frames. Ashtakali Lila Smaranam. So the eightfold pastimes of. So in the 24 hours time, these 24 hours are divided into 8 durations. Like for example, when Krishna wakes up, and then after that he goes back to his house, then he goes to milk the cows, and then he returns back for breakfast, and then he uh, goes and plays with the sakas in the forest, and then from there he goes to meet the gopis. So there are 8 divisions of this time, and that's why we have 8 pairs of Hare Krishna, of the Hare Krishna words. Okay, now I hope that you are able to follow. Why do we have the 8 pairs? Why not just 4 pairs? So the acharyas, they actually give some intimate details about the why we are using the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in 8 pairs, 16 words. Right? All right. So now we'll go to Srila Jiva Goswami's revelation of the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay, so commenting on the Maha Mantra, in his Mantra Dipika, Srila Jiva Goswami reveals the meaning of each of the 16 names in the Maha Mantra in consecutive order as follows. So first is Hare. What does that reveal to Jiva Goswami? Krishna steals the mind of everyone, yet Radha steals even his mind with her divine expertise. Thus, she is known as Hara. So see, this is how it reveals the name Hare. How does it reveal the particular pastime of the Lord? So when Radha and Krishna are having some kind of leela, so Krishna of course attracts Radharani, but then Radharani steals Krishna's mind. So that time she is called Hara. So Hare is making Jiva Goswami remember that that particular pastime, and how he is able to remember Radharani. Next, so after Hare is Krishna. He forcibly attracts Sri Radha with the sweet sound of his flute. Therefore, that Lord of all enchanting qualities is known as Krishna. So Krishna, so now this word Krishna is revealing to him the flute playing pastime of the Lord and how that flute attracts the entire universe, especially Srimati Radharani. So this is how the word Krishna is revealing a particular pastime. Third, so Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Hare. It has been heard that during the Raslila, blue-eyed Radha was stolen away by Krishna to be alone with him in a secret forest bower. She is therefore known as Hara. Right? So this again revealing the pastime of the word Hare. Then Krishna. When Krishna sports with Radha, her golden hue takes on the dark complexion of Krishna's skin. He is thus known as Krishna. So see, here Krishna does not mean Krishna. It actually refers to Radharani. So but there's a particular pastime where Krishna is sporting with Radharani and then her golden complexion takes on the complexion of Krishna's skin. And so Radharani can also be called as Krishna in a particular pastime with context to that. Then, so Hare Krishna, then fifth, Krishna. In order to please Sri Radha, Krishna manifested the most wonderful lake, Shamkund in Vrindavan. He then called all the holy rivers to fill it. He is thus known as Krishna. So basically, his Shamkund is attracting all the holy rivers. So that way also is called as like Krishna. Then Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. By her unsurpassed love, Radha charms he who performs wonderful leelas on the banks of the Yamuna. Therefore, those who are sober know him as Krishna. Then seventh, Hare. While in Gokul, Sri Hari, Krishna, killed the demon known as Aristasur. During that time, Radha cried out to him with great feelings, and by doing so, she stole his mind. She is thus known as Hara. So here, Hare referring to Radharani and a particular context of the Radhakund pastime. Then further, Hare. Filled with ecstatic love, Radha sometimes sings the glories of Hari's exploits quietly, and sometimes she sings them aloud. Those who are experts in the secrets of divine sentiments call her Hara. Then again, Hare. Due to the intense love of Sri Radha, Sri Hari becomes so captivated that his flute falls from his hand. With the desire to enjoy the forest powers with Krishna, Radha steals his flute. That goddess is thus famous as Hara. So Hare Radharani not only steals the mind of Krishna, the heart of Krishna, but she also steals the flute of Krishna. So that sense also Hare is called as Hare can refer to the pastime of stealing the flute. Rama, Govardhan, Krishna is expert at embracing sports with Radha in the forest groves or in the caves of Govardhan. Thus he is known as Rama. Hare. That most merciful Radha destroys the miseries of her devotees and gives them great happiness every day. Therefore, that goddess is known as Hara. Rama. The minds of the devotees are continuously drowned in an ocean of supreme joy by seeing the beautiful dark form of Krishna. Therefore, he is known by the name Ram. Ram is one who gives pleasure. Again, Ram. Radharani is known as Ram because she enjoys loving pastimes Achyuta in a secret forest pavilion. Since he is always by her side, he is known as Ram. So Ram can also refer to Radharani, not just Krishna, but Ram can also refer to Radharani. So as you see, this I've already mentioned earlier that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a conceptual mantra. You can address any word of the Lord, any name of the Lord with a particular deity of the Lord. So it can mean Radharani, it can mean Krishna, it can mean Ram, Parshuram, Balram, as Prabhupada says. Right? And so depending on the context, it will keep changing. Now, one thing also you need to understand is that because it's a conceptual mantra, so Krishna, when he chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? So he, of course, does not chant his own name. But for him, Hare, of course, means Radharani. But Krishna and Ram for Krishna means Radharani also. So the entire Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, 16 words, it's all the name of Srimati Radharani for Krishna. And the same Maha Mantra when chanted by Radharani, all the 16 words, they are actually the names of Krishna for Radharani. So that way Radharani is also chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So in the Radha Tantra, it is mentioned that it's the Radharani's way of worshipping the Lord. So it's basically in the form of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So you may wonder that, okay, why Radharani chanting her own name? But it is not like that, as we have seen in this revelation of Jiva Goswami also, that Hare can refer to Krishna and Ram can refer to Radharani also. So all these are conceptual. Okay. 14th, Rama. When the residents of Gokul were crying due to fear of the forest fire, Krishna immediately swallowed it and gave his devotees immense joy. In this way, he is known as Rama. Hare. Sri Krishna went to Mathurapuri to destroy the demons. However, due to being captivated by the law of Radha, he later returned. Therefore, he is known as Hara. And last word, Hare. When the son of Marananda returned to Braj, he took away the suffering of all Brajvasis. By his wonderful exploit, he steals the heart of Sri Radha. Thus, he is known as Hari. So, beautiful explanation of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, how each and every word of the holy name can lead us to the pastime of the Lord. Particular, so it's another thing that we need to understand, that this is not absolute revelation of Jiva Goswami. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also has mentioned about the revelation of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I think he's quoted some Acharya for that. I don't remember, but and similarly, Aindra Prabhu also, at the end of his book that he had written, he has revealed the pastime that reveals to Aindra Prabhu by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, all the words. And his revelation is very different from Jiva Goswami's revelation. So what we need to understand is that this is not a static thing. It is a dynamic thing. So this is a revelation for Jiva Goswami in a particular instant. But in the next instant, there will be different pastime that will occur to Jiva Goswami. And he will similarly provide and share different revelations of the holy names in the Maha Mantra, right? So for us devotees also, because we are all individuals, we are not the same, we are not Mayavadis, we all have our personalities. Gradually the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will reveal to us with time all these details. So this is the meaning of Nama Rupa Guna Leela. Now any devotee who has experienced all these things, all these stages, and is focused, fixed, constantly chanting, remembering, one can understand that devotee is extremely advanced. One can say that they are the state of bhava and prema. So I hope it makes sense about the entire concept of the holy name. We have covered in 3 parts. And I think now we are done with this. And there is one particular concept which was also important, but I think I have covered that in a earlier class, which maybe probably I've given last year or last year, especially about the Ajamil's pastime. Very detailed explanation by Srila Vishwanath Thakur, which we had read in Prabhupada's, I mean, not Prabhupada's purport, but the auxiliary to Prabhupada's chapter, which was given at the end. And there were excerpts of Srila Vishwanath Thakur's commentary to that. But in detail, we have already discussed that chapter in length. So I think we are done with with this topic. So I hope that all the devotees, they have understood the concept of holy name, how exactly it is revealed, the process to be followed, about the different types of the holy name, Namaparad, Namabas, and Shudhanam. How can we reach pure chanting of the holy name? All these details are shared. All right. So thank you so much. If there are any questions or comments, then let's go for that.
Hare Krishna, Dana Pranam. All great sisters Prabhupada. Such a nice class.
Prabhuji, your voice is quite low.
Yeah, Dhanapranam Prabhu, Hare Krishna. It's such a nice class. Delving deep into the imports of the mantra and the preconditions, the antecedent condition that are necessary to achieve the full benefit. So I yes, we have this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So these stages. So Shravanam is the primary. Without Shravanam, Kirtanam cannot happen because Shravanam is the basis. So accordingly I heard that so without the Sambandha Gyan, or at least the basic Shravanam, some Shraddha, the chanting of holy name will not have benefit. But I also heard the counter argument that holy name is like a medicine. If you take the medicine, it has its effect. So which one is true?
Yes. So see, one thing that if you note, our acharyas very clearly state that the holy name always has benefits, whether it is chanted at the stage of Namaprad or Namavas, and that's how they also have commented on the pastime of Ajamil, because he chanted at the stage of Namavas, not Namaprad. They always say that Namaprad also has effect, of course, but what they are saying is you'll not get the desired effect of the holy name. So the ultimate result of the holy name is prema, Pumartha Mahan, the fifth goal of our life, right? So that is not attained by Namaparad and Namabas. It can only be attained at the stage of pure chanting of the holy name.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So what? See, I would also request devotees that if they get chance and if they are able to hear the previous sessions, because I have very elaborately discussed about the chanting at the stage of Namavas. Namavas, it is also so much glorified in our scriptures that just by chanting the name at the stage of Namavas, you destroy not just your past sinful activities, not just your present, but future sinful activities are all destroyed. And our acharyas, they say that you cannot even imagine the number of sins that you can commit, that chanting that can be destroyed just by chanting the holy name. You cannot even imagine how much the holy name can destroy the the reaction to the sinful activities. You cannot even imagine. It is unlimited, but provided it has to be at the state of Namavas. And one more thing we have to remember, that from Namavas it is also possible to fall down to the state of Namaprad. Namavas is not a constant steady state. You can also fall down from that position. So only steady state, the only constant perfection stage is Shuddhanam. Once you attain prema, there is no coming back. As Srila Prabhupada also states in, he quotes Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says that one who comes to me, he will not fall down to this material world again, right? So that's the stage of prema. You will not be able to come to the material world again. So Shuddhanam is the only stage where you don't fall down. But otherwise, from Namavas also one can come to the Namaprad platform. And this is what happens with us also, because at some point of time, and another interesting concept is that in the previous life also we must have committed some major aparats. The influence of that aparat can actually continue in future lives also. And Bharat Maharaj is a typical example of that, which is mentioned according to Rajiv Goswami in his Sandarbha. So that's the reason why Bharat Maharaj had a fall down. Although we say that he was attached to the deer, but the question is that why he got attached to the deer? How did he get attached to the deer? Of course, someone at the state of vow, ultimately it is the Lord's desire only. It is his pastime. Because then further, in another context, Rajiv Goswami says that he was constantly chanting the names of the Lord and he already attained perfection. So there was no question of fall down for him. But this is just a pastime to show that because of influence of a previous major aparad, a big aparad, a serious aparad, one can fall down in the next life also. It can influence one's next life also. So it is possible at some stage we may chant the holy name without any aparads, because we don't have guru, we don't have knowledge. We just take the holy name, and probably we don't have any aparads in the previous life. So Namabhas stage we are there, but then once we start following the process of bhakti, then we come into Sangha, and then we start seeing the faults and anarthas of devotees, and then maybe there is a chance we can start committing aparads also. So yeah, so I hope it makes sense.
My related question to Prabhu, Namaparad, Namabha, Suddha Nam. So how do they relate to the Adoshodha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriyanate? So up to Asakti, then Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav.
Generally at the state of Nishtha, when you come to the state of Nishtha, you are very close to offenseless chanting. Because Nishtha is like almost 75% of anarthas are destroyed.
Yeah.
It's a midway stage. It's a 50% stage from Shraddha to Prema. But in the stage of Nishtha, almost 75% of anarthas are destroyed. So one can say that one is quite close to offenseless chanting. Although, of course, Shuddhnam is not there. But close to Namabhas at the stage of Nishtha.
And between,
I also mentioned that Namabhas one can also fall to Namaprad. And if you commit aparads, the result will be that whatever sinful reaction that you had destroyed, it can reappear also. The karmas may reappear. You may incur some more karmas also. So aparad is a very dangerous stage. We have to be very careful.
Yeah, and sometimes it has been seen that aparad is one other, and another is influence of Maya. So at that higher stage, bhav stage, influence of Maya. So that also is an additional point. I mean, a point additional to the
Yeah. I mean, influence of Maya is basically one's free will and free choice to get influenced by it or not. So that also, finally, it is one's own choice. So unless and until we are at the state of perfection, there are chances of falling down also, because right up to the state of how we can fall down. Then what to speak of the state of Nishtha, Ruchi? These are lower stages. So of course there is a chance.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for this very, very important class. I must say, we didn't know the meaning of the mantra and how to go about it. But, one has gone, I'm doing directly the Maha Mantra. I never did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mantra before. So,
Yeah. I forgot to address that also. Thank you for bringing that up, because so see, in that particular purport, Srila Prabhupada is very like he emphasizes a lot on the chanting of the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, right? And then he's encouraging us to chant their names, and he says that only after chanting their names one can actually take shelter of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra properly. So basically the question is that then why we are not chanting the names of, why are we chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? Why are we not chanting Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktinda as a regular Maha Mantra that we are currently we are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So why not the Panch Tattva Maha Mantra? So this was asked to Srila Prabhupada, one of his disciples. I don't remember, maybe it was Tamal Krishna or someone else, but then Prabhupada said that it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that we chant Hare Krishna mantra. That's why we are chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So basically, in the entire purport, we have to take the essence of the meaning of what Prabhupada is trying to convey, is that We have to take shelter of the Panch Tattva first. And after taking the shelter, then only we'll be able to properly appreciate the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We'll be able to properly attentively chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or one can say that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will reveal itself to us only by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. So that is what we need to understand. And of course, Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that we should chant the Panchtattva Mahamantra before the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now, whether we have also heard that after every round we should chant the Panchtattva Mahamantra. Although what I have heard is that this is not stated by Srila Prabhupada, that after every round we are supposed to chant the Panchtattva Mahamantra. No, Prabhupada he's just saying that we need to take shelter of the Panchtattva Mahamantra before chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that spirit has to be there. Okay, and another thing that we need to understand is that we need to taking shelter of Panchtattva Mahamantra means that we establish our connection with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and their associates and his associates. So meaning that we render service to them and we develop attachment to them. So Srila Prabodhanand Saraswati Thakur, in his Chaitanya Chandra Amritam, so he states that to the degree we become attached to Gauranga, lotus feet, to that degree, automatically love for Srimati Radharani's lotus feet will awaken in our heart. And if one says that one has no love for Gauranga, but has love for Radharani, then that's completely fake. So only to the degree we develop love for Gauranga, to that same degree we develop love for Srimati Radharani also. So, and then Narottam Das Thakur also, Srila Prabhupada quotes in the Purpadis, Narottam Das Thakur also says that only by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu we get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. Only by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu our anathas are destroyed, material contamination is destroyed. Then we can take shelter of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. And then Prabhupada also says that going to Vrindavan means actually taking shelter of the Goswamis' books. So basically, what does that mean? Taking shelter of Panchtattva, taking shelter of Goswamis, it means we connect with their teachings. It means we accept their teachings in heart, in principle. We are convinced of their teachings, and we are convinced that they are, like Narottam Das Thakur also says that if you consider the Panchtattva to be Nitya Siddhas, non-different from the associate of Krishna in Vrindavan, then also you go back to Godhead. Just by considering the Panchtattva, their associates, being non-different from the Nitya Siddhas of Krishna in Vrindavan. So that is the potency of connecting with the Panchtattva and the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So God Bhaktas, they are very, very powerful, very potent. Prabodhanand Saraswati Thakur states the same thing in his Chaitanya Charitamrita also. He says that I don't care about Krishna's mercy, but I am always eager to get the glance of the mercy of the God Bhaktas. So, so this is the stage that we are supposed to come to, realization and understanding that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and their associates, if we develop attachment to them, if we think of them simultaneously as we do for Krishna. Of course, Krishna Lila is not so difficult because in India we have been born and brought in culture where Krishna's pastimes are like generally narrated. We know about Krishna and all. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is confidential avatar, so we don't know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's why when we come to ISKCON, we get familiar with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but then gradually, over a period of time, we must establish that kind of attachment, love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and their associates also. Then all these things will be revealed to us. So this is the meaning of the entire purport, basically.
So thank you, Prabhuji. But another thing is that can we have the Panchtatra mantra? Then, like you said, it's important, right? And the other reason you said that we should, like he said, that it's important to, it's not necessary to, I mean, one can do reach the Lord Krishna, but it's important first to do the acharyas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's take the shelter under them. Is it because for Lord Krishna the devotees are more important than anything else? That's why.
So see, of course, the goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavas is Krishna and Radharani in Braj. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ultimate goal is to give us that Braj Prem. And in that Braj Prem also the conjugal loving affair of Radharani and Krishna, and that too in Parikya Ras. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that ultimate thing to us. So that is the goal. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and their associates and his associates, they have appeared in sadhaka forms so that they will teach us how to perform Krishna's devotional service. And we, of course, we can chant Panchatam Mahamantra as much as possible. That's not a problem, but it should not replace the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then as you also advance in your understanding of Krishna consciousness, the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures, you will also realize that there are simultaneous destinations, simultaneous goals. So you can attain Braj in one spiritual body, and in another spiritual body you can also attain Navdeep in the spiritual world, where you are in the association of Mahaprabhu and his associates, performing kirtan, and he also has his eightfold daily pastime, Raskalya Leela, in the spiritual world. So you can simultaneously develop two bodies. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, I think, in the Jain Dharma, he mentions this point that to the degree that you have attachment, inclination, more inclination for the corresponding goal, desired place you'll be attaining in the spiritual world. So if your love for Mahaprabhu and Krishna is comparable, it is equal, then you will get two spiritual bodies in the spiritual world, and your spiritual body will expand, and it will be present simultaneously in two places. So that way, Panchatattva Mahamantra could also be chanted. But the primary goal of a sadhaka, and this is demonstrated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed us to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the primary means of attaining the Lord. That's why Hare Krishna Mahamantra becomes prominent, and Panchatattva Mahamantra becomes secondary in the sadhaka form. Right?
Thank you, Prabhuji. I think at the moment one should concentrate on the Mahamantra. Yeah. And maybe, but like you said, after every round, one should do the Panchtatra. You said just right.
I mean, what I'm saying is, this is what, like, we are just doing it. Although I have not seen anywhere any reference of Prabhupada where he says that after every round you chant the Hare Krishna Mantra. But this is the purport where Prabhupada says that we are supposed to take shelter of the Panchattva Mahamantra. So of course you can do it as much as possible. I mean, why just chant the Panchattva Mahamantra when we are chanting the holy name? You can also chant the Panchattva Mahamantra whenever you would like to. Whenever you're offering obeisances to our acharyas, our Gurudev, you can also chant that time. There are no rules and regulations like that. But yeah, primary sadhana is Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful class, talking about the holy names and the Mahamantra and the significance of each word and how the acharyas have contemplated on each syllable and the significance. Thank you for bringing all that. And also, comparing the different levels of bhakti with the holy names. Prabhuji, my question is, in the stage of Anartha Nivritti, where so we are trying to follow rules. We have vows we follow, but again, the quality is probably not there in chanting. And like you were saying, the aparadhas are causing that to not improve. Now, Prabhuji, my question is how do we know what is the gold standard to get to the next stage of Nishta from Anartha Nivritti? Because we see different levels of following rules, right? Like we can say we don't eat onion garlic. Then we say we only eat prasadam. Then the next stage is like you only eat a prasadam cooked by a brahmana, and who chants 16 rounds. So there's so many levels we can see the rules. So is there like should you go to the highest level to go to the next stage, or is there some compromise somewhere that okay, this much is good enough and then we can go to Nishta?
So that's a wonderful question, Prabhuji. Thank you. So all these stages, they have subcategories also. Like for example, Nishta stage has got three further subcategories, which is or you can say like for example, we say that there is Kanishta devotee, Madhyam devotee, and there is Uttama devotee. So then there is the in Kanishta we have Kanisht, then we have Madhyam Kanisht, and then we have Uttama Kanisht. We can say like that because amongst the Kanishta devotees also there is some kind of advancement, gradual advancement. And then finally in the Madhyam category also similarly we have the Kanishta Madhyam, Madhyam Madhyam, and then Uttama Madhyam. So basically you can relate this three stages with body, mind, and words. Uh, body, words, and mind. So because body is the external form of our expression to the Lord. Whatever devotional service that we are rendering, through the process of sadhana bhakti itself is basically using the senses or the bodily senses in the service of Lord. So that becomes physical. So you can say that if my, at least if I am serving steadily, physically, that is one stage of Nishtha, steadiness. But then more refined state of Nishtha will be when I speak nicely to devotees, when I'm very cautious, when I'm steady in that. Although I may be influenced by the modes of ignorance or passion, or I have been born and brought up like that. But if I come to that stage where I can use nice, encouraging words to devotees, um, the dealings can be very nicely be done in the mode of goodness. Then you can say that's another level of achievement at the state of Nishtha, which obviously it has to be steady. Like sometimes we do it artificially, but then we feel that, oh, like some devotee will hurt us or they will insult us, then we'll also have this big desire to revenge and to insult that devotee in future. So that is hidden in the heart, although externally we may accept it at that time. So these things has to be refined, and then ultimately the state of mind. So whatever Krishna consciousness, see, ultimately Krishna consciousness is actually the function of the mind. It is state of the mind, because whatever is there in the mind will come out externally. It will come out in the form of words. It will come out in the form of physical um, activities. And that's why His Holiness Radha Maharaj also, he has stated very nicely that when you have love in your heart, then only love will come out. It's such a beautiful thing, you know. Of course, like if you are full with love, you're filled with love, then what else can you give to others? You can only give love to others. But if you yourself are harmed, abused, then what can you give to others? You'll only give abuse to others. So that's the stage of, at the state of mind, where you are very much absorbed in, and of course these are in terms of qualities, but we are not. So qualities are definitely important because a devotee wants to cultivate all the good qualities, but that becomes secondary. Qualities is not limb of bhakti. Bhakti is not dependent on the qualities. It is connected only with, directly with the limbs of bhakti, which is to meditate on the Lord, think about the Lord, to chant the name of the Lord, to remember the Lord. So when we talk about mind, then basically you can say that your mind is fully absorbed in Krishna Lila, Krishna Katha, Krishna Naam. So any sort of external disturbances will not affect your absorption in the Lord. So you can say that that stage is, you know, like one needs to be steady in these three stages. Then you can say that, okay, you are at a very high level of Nishtha stage. Then Ruchi, the taste for, now there is a subtle difference between Ruchi and Asakti stage. At the state of Ruchi, you are more attracted to the limbs of Bhakti. You are more attached to the limbs of Bhakti. Whereas at the stage of Asakti, you are more attached directly to the Lord. In the context that your mind is always thinking of the Lord, His forms, qualities, pastimes, like that. But here you are more focused on the limbs of Bhakti. You are more attached to doing that. So the remembrance of the Lord is more, and the attachment towards the Lord is more refined at the stage of asakti. So our acharyas, like especially Srila Vishwanath Thakur, has very nicely elaborated all these things in his Madhurya Kadambini, which I will be covering in my next session. So I was just waiting once the holy name, all the parts are over, then I'll be covering, because I think you are asking about the symptoms. How do we understand where we are at? And of course, when you are talking about all these small things, like for example, okay, first we refrain from onion garlic, then we refrain from outside food. We only have prasad, and even amongst prasad also, then uh, the concern is that we should not overeat, and we should only maintain our body and soul together. So that much prasad only we should consume, right? So gradually there is a level, and I mean, of course, the highest level is that of, you can say, of Raghunath Das Goswami, who exemplified that. When he was in Radhakund, he was only having buttermilk, 3 drops of buttermilk, something like that. And the entire day, 22 and a half hours, he was fully absorbed in Krishna. And 1.5 hour he used to sleep, 1.5 hour to 2 hours. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that sometimes he did not even sleep for that much time. So basically, that stage is, of course, a perfect stage where you are totally dependent. I mean, you have attained a spiritual body. So your spiritual body is sustaining your material body also. Then there is no question of thirst or hunger also. Your thirst and hunger is Krishna. That's the only desire that you have. So these are all very refined, very elevated stages. It cannot be imitated. We have to go gradually, and especially for Grihastha devotees, especially for sadhakas, I don't think it is. I mean, even to think of the stage of ruchi, asakti, nishta, these are very, in one sense, I feel these are very high stages for us, because, as I said, that Trinarapi Sunichena, so that is the litmus test for the devotees. I think that is the best test that we can directly experience. If you are able to follow this principle of Trinarapi Sunichena, then I think, because uh, this verse in the Sikshashtakam is at the stage, is the third verse, which is the Acharyas, they say that this is actually at the state of Nishtha. So now you can easily understand what is the stage of Nishtha. Of course, it's also refined. There are gradations in that stages also. But the more you are able to tolerate, the more you are able to think yourself insignificant and humble, that much you have advanced in your spiritual life. So that's a litmus test for us. Whether we'll be able to achieve in this life or not, that is, it's very difficult to say. What one thing is that I have noticed is, we don't try to imitate exalted Vaishnavas or our acharyas, but we accept the principles. So what does that mean? When we say that we emulate, we don't imitate. So it means that whatever challenges and difficulties they are coming in your life as a devotee, if you just accept it, even though artificially you may accept it, but you do not give up your Krishna consciousness. If you continue your Krishna consciousness, your services that you are doing, in spite of all these insults or difficulties or challenges or whatever it is, if you continue your Krishna consciousness, then I think that's also a good level of achievement in as a sadhaka. It's a very practical way of saying that, okay, we try to emulate the principle of Trinarapi Sunichena, because generally we cannot tolerate these things, but because we are trying to love Guru and Krishna, so for them, for their pleasure, I am accepting that. In the heart, there may be some residual lingering also, like maybe some desire to take revenge, or some kind of uh, that kind of feeling will be there. But I think that's fine. I think that's quite natural for a sadhaka. Let's not say that, okay, I mean, see, the thing is that if you're not able to be steady physically, if you're not able to be steady through words, then don't expect that your mind will forgive and forget. That it will have some kind of impression in your heart. And Of course, and the more you advance in spiritual life, the more you'll be able to forgive and forget. But we cannot imitate exalted Vaishnavas. That is for sure. The reality is that okay, we are hurt. That is there in our heart. The impression is always there. And but whether we are encouraged enough to go ahead in our Krishna consciousness, if we are doing that, and of course, the Lord has also given us intelligence, so we have to use our intelligence. And sometimes intelligence can take a prominent role than our feelings. So we have to curb down our feelings and we have to use intelligence and we have to go ahead. So I think that's a very practical way to go ahead in spiritual life. The thing is that see what kind of difficulties and challenges we can tolerate. Just imagine if someone would have been born in Pakistan. I mean, that's the biggest. That's the biggest. Like I see that it is a very hellish condition for me. If I was born in Pakistan as a Hindu, it would have been such a hellish condition for me. I would not have been able to practice Krishna consciousness also. So there is no limit. Beyond imagination, we can, we cannot even tolerate small things. What to speak of such big things? If you just hear the lives, the examples of great personalities, not just devotees, but even in the material world also, there are great people. I mean, people who have sacrificed their life for the country. How much they have tolerated? You cannot even imagine that. You cannot even accept that mentally. You'll as a devotee also you may think that okay, let me commit suicide rather than undergoing this kind of experience. So then what to speak of pure devotees? Pure devotees are much beyond them, like all these ordinary materialistic people. If they are able to tolerate some things, pure devotees are even beyond them. But we are not even able to tolerate the suffering that these ordinary materialistic people are undergoing. Or you can say the armed forces or the freedom fighters, what all they have undergone, what all they have tolerated. So honestly speaking, we cannot imitate them. But yeah, the principles, whatever comes, it is said that Krishna will give you a difficulty that you will be able to handle. He will not give you something which is beyond your toleration. That is also there. So, and that's why Jiva Goswami also, he mentions this very important point in his Sandarbha. He says that devotees, they generally, if one experiences too much happiness, then one will not be able to practice bhakti. And if one will experience too much of distress, then also one will not be able to practice bhakti, because a sadhaka will always think of the body first, how to escape from the suffering. So you cannot, there is such a high intensity of suffering that you cannot even imagine, cannot even tolerate. So if the Lord gives us that, if we artificially try to imitate and we try to say that, okay, like Kunti Maharani, if you also start praying that, okay, Krishna, give me difficulties and challenges so that my faith will increase. I mean, you cannot even, tolerate small things, what to speak of great difficulties. So we cannot imitate all these great personalities. But yeah, we keep on continuing with our endeavors in Krishna consciousness. And gradually, I think it's a gradual advancement also. We should become more and from external, it goes internal. So once, like in the beginning, we are more focused on external things, like for example, rendering devotional service in the student of devotees, so that everyone can appreciate our service. Everyone can say that okay, we are doing so much services, we are doing multiple services, and we are always ready to help devotees. But then, why are we doing that much? We are risking our health also, and the health in the long run will affect our Krishna consciousness. And then how much, even though externally we may do services, but then internally, if we are just focusing on materialistic things, that means that our Krishna consciousness is not developed yet. So basically, it indicates that we are doing the services just to get name and fame and appreciation from others. Otherwise, if you really want to love the Lord, and then you will be absorbed in the Lord. So from external, it goes internal. That is why at the state of bhav, the functioning of the mind becomes more prominent. the thinking, the remembrance of the Lord becomes more prominent. And that's another reason why Krishna also states in the Bhagavad Gita, Ant Kalecha Mahameva Smaranam Mukta Kaleram. He does not say Kirtanam Mukta Kaleram. He says Smaranam Mukta Kaleram, because if external senses they are not able to perform, then at least you have your memory, you have your remembrance. Through remembrance, you can worship the Lord. So internal cultivation is the most important service in Krishna consciousness. Externally, of course, externally, but we must, like the Lord says, that one has to be bhavgrahi. He's bhavgrahi and sargrahi. So he sees the mood of the devotion, and he sees the essence of devotion, one's devotion. So that way, like I think these are all the parameters by which we can understand. And of course, like there are also theoretical explanations by our acharyas of the symptoms of different stages that we'll cover in the next class. But practically speaking, yeah, whatever challenges, difficulties come at our level, we accept that. These difficulties may keep on increasing in terms of intensity, and that will also be the test of our tolerance. So like for example, at the stage of banality, let's say you'll get some little difficulties, so you'll be able to cross over. Then at the stage of anartha nivritti, more difficulties in terms of intensity. So again, your tolerance level will increase. Then at the stage of nishtha, like that, it keeps on gradually increasing. So the Lord gives gradual doses, He will not inject us directly like that. I hope it makes sense, Ruby.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful explanation and the different stages and different within each stage. Also, there are different levels. So all we can do is to try to be sincere and do at the best of our ability and in our situation. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Ruby. Hare Krishna. Okay. So any other devotee, do you have any comment or question? All right. So if there are no comments or questions, then we can end the session. Rupini Padmamati, are you there? Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for this wonderful class. Very, very nice. Hare Krishna. And when will you come next, Prabhuji? You said you'll have to continue this. You were saying so. I hope it's soon, because then the continuity remains.
Yeah. The month of June. Let me see what date is that. Yeah, it's 5th of June. Tentatively. So yeah. All right. So thank you all the devotees for joining, and Dhanavad pranams to everyone. Vancha kalpatarushya prasannaya vacha ptiranam pavanebhyo.
Krishna, Nama, Nama.
Vishnu ki jai.
Jai.
Bhakti ki jai.
Jai.